Hello friends and strangers and anybody else watching my videos. Today was a pretty big day. I had my first actual teaching lesson, but before I get into that I want to say I realized that for some reason my videos on YouTube, the sound is like not in sync with the video, and I have no idea why, because when I watch my videos on my computer, like just clicking on the files, it works perfectly, so I don't know what's happening, but whatever. In the morning, I watched two of my English teachers teach their classes, their English through Japanese kind of classes. It was very interesting. It's a very different perspective on teaching compared to what I learned in Teachers College, because I'm also in like education. So in Canada, we're trying to do less with like teacher-centric teaching, where it's really just like the teacher standing up front and talking and lecturing. We're trying to move away from that to make it more engaging through like technology and group work and all that fancy stuff. But in Japan, it seems like it's very much still teacher-centric, teacher-focused, where pretty much the teacher's at the front talking most of the time, and the students are listening, or maybe not, writing, some are sleeping because they're just tired. And I don't think it's the most effective, but I do understand why, because I think to do like engaging things is kind of difficult, especially when the kids, when there's so many kids, because class sizes in Japan are huge. They're like, in Canada, class averages are maybe like 20 minimum to like 30 max, and 30 is like way too many. Usually maybe like 25-ish is like good. But in Japan, classes are like 30 minimum going up to like 40 max, and that's just insane. So like classes will have like 35 people, and the classrooms are packed, like desks. It's just desks. So like I think it would be hard to do like more engaging things that require movement and space and group work when there's just not much space, because you have all the students, you have their desks, you have their bags, and then you need some space to like walk around. And I also think maybe the students, some of them have a lot of commitments, like they'll have schoolwork, they might have a job. Most of them do club work, club activities, and most of them do extra help and cram school after. So like they have a lot of stuff to do, and they can get really tired. So if they sleep in class, it's okay, because like they just have so much to worry about. But that's all I want to talk about. So my first lesson was my introductory self-introduction, whatever. My self-introduction lesson. So I made a PowerPoint, and I did it, and I think it was very successful. My teacher that I was working with, she said that it was very good, and my other teacher who came to watch later, because I did the same thing twice, said it was also very good. They said it was easy to understand, and like I used simple words, and it was interesting, because what I did was throughout my presentation I would have like quiz questions. Like I made up signs that that have like A, B, C, D on them, so that the kids, they would sit in groups, and then I would ask a question and they would talk amongst themselves and like raise which answer they thought it was. For example, like how many people live in Canada? So I would have different numbers, and then if they got it right, good job. If they didn't, well, better luck next time. They found those questions really interesting. I think they were very engaged. Like they were listening. I'm not sure if they were understanding what I was saying because it was in English, but I think they got the gist of it, because I used a lot of pictures. I used as many pictures as I could just to make it more visual. And I gave prizes too. Like I gave like money, like Canadian pennies. I brought a bag of coins, so I gave it to them. And then at the end, I know that I said before that Japanese kids are very shy and they don't really like volunteering to do something. So at the end, I knew this was going to happen. I asked them if they had any questions for me. And as expected, it was silent. So what I had them do beforehand was I bought like a pack of chopsticks, and I gave each student a chopstick, and I made them write their name on the chopstick. And then I collected them and I stuck them in like a box, so pretend there's a box, and I was like, okay, if I pull your name out, you have to answer. And they were like, okay, fine. It's just they hope it's not them, because like the odds were like 1 in 20, 1 in 25 or whatever. So I did that, and it worked really good. Like I picked out their name and they talked. They stood up and talked, even if they didn't have a good answer, or even if they didn't say it very well. It worked great. So that was my strategy, and I think by the second time that I did, I got pretty good at it. So I have to repeat this same lesson twice tomorrow. The tomorrow was like, it wasn't mandatory. Like I just asked my other English teacher if I could watch his class, and he was like, okay, I want you to do your self-introduction. I was like, whoa, okay, sure, if you say so. And then I have to repeat this lesson again 4 times next week. So I'll be doing this lesson like 8 times in total. 8. So yeah, that was my first day, and I think it went very well. I'm excited to repeat it tomorrow. Although I think one of the reasons, well, I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons the classes went so well today was because these kids, I had met them before at the science English camp that I talked about last week that I went to. These were the same kids, so they all recognized me and they all know what I looked like, and they all had heard me talk to them, at least some of them, before. So I think that's a strong reason why they were so like happy and like genki and energetic and willing to answer and participate. So tomorrow's kids, I have never seen them before, so I think the tone of the lesson will be very different, but I'm hoping that they'll still learn something and have a good time listening to me talk in English. So yeah. Anyway, so that was that. After school, I went to Aeon Mall to try to look for a case for my iPhone, because I want to buy a case. I don't want to leave it just like this. I'm paranoid that it'll crack and break or something like that. But unfortunately, I walked through the whole mall and I could not find. They only sold cases in one store, like the department store, and there wasn't a lot of selection, so I didn't buy a case. So when I went home, I checked like this train schedules on my phone, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna catch this train, I'm gonna connect to this train, and I'm gonna go home, and it'll be really quick. It's only like 15 minutes in total. But what happened was the first train was late by like 3 minutes. 3 minutes is not a lot of time, but when you only have 2 minutes to connect to the next train, it suddenly becomes like crunch time. So the train came, and I frantically, like, I was so like worried that I was gonna miss the train, since it should have like already left. Like I just jumped onto the train that I thought it was, and look what happened. I went on the wrong train, and it brought me back to my original place, right? So I had to wait like half an hour doing nothing, and that was not fun. And then I went back home and biked to a electronics store, a really big one, and I thought that they would have like nice cases too, but nope, they didn't have nice cases. So tomorrow my plan is to go to Osaka, all the way to Osaka, like an hour and 20 minutes train, lots of trains, to go to a big electronics store where they should have nice cases so that I can buy a case. Is that all I wanted to talk about? Dun, 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 dun. Oh yes, one more thing. In Japanese schools, they like to save electricity. I'm not sure if they like to do it all the time or just because it's summertime, but they like to save electricity. So what happens is they do, for first thing, electricity, they don't always turn on the air conditioning, because back home they would have AC blasting on from the moment you got in to the moment you left, and the lights in the entire building would always be on. But in Japanese schools, they don't always turn on the AC. And if they do, it's room by room basis, not the entire AC. And they don't like to turn on the lights. So an example, like some halls have no lights on. They just use like the normal sunlight. And like another example would be like the teacher's washroom. I swear, I've never seen the lights inside on in this whole month that I've been there. Like it's always off and they just keep the window open so that there's light. So that's how they like to save electricity, and probably lots of other ways. Oh yes, and also they like to, their photocopiers, they turn them off after each person's done using them. So when you go to use the photocopier, you have to turn it back on and wait a few, maybe like 10 seconds for it to heat up again, and then go on and on and on. But whatever. That's all I wanted to say. Yes. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you guys later. Peace.